On into our show, and my first guest for this morning is none other than Mr. Ashworth Jack, of course, former minority leader, as we get into what's happening on the ground as we are 4 days away from election day on Monday. Yes, folks, election day is on Monday and it's getting exciting. It is very heated on the ground. So good morning and welcome to you, Mr. Jack. How are you doing this morning?
Good morning, Kandace. Good morning to all the listening and viewing public. Thank you for having me this morning.
So now, Mr. Jack, of course, you have been working very closely with the TPP in going into this election period. Tell me, how have things been going for you guys on the election campaign trail? What have you been seeing? What have you been noticing as you guys are out there canvassing?
Well, I must say that with whatever interaction I have been having with the leadership of the organization, we're seeing a pulling together of the island and the organization. I'm also very concerned about this is not a THA election, it's a general election. And even on the huskings, the things that you're hearing, it is as though people don't understand what they're asking people to vote for. And if the leaders don't understand what they're asking people to vote for, how can the people know? So everybody seems to be, the new thing is attack the THA, stuff like that. And so, you look at those, and it is our responsibility to differentiate between the Tobago House of Assembly election and the general election, what is expected, what you're voting for, what you hope to achieve as a result of who you put in office, and stuff like that. So, that is one of the things I think there need to be continued education of the population on. It is like going in Trinidad and speaking about regional corporation issues and stuff at a general election. It's a matter of how the laws are made, how the policies are formulated and implemented, that kind of stuff, based on the Constitution, separate and apart from those that have been divulged to the Tobago House of Assembly. The Tobago House of Assembly election is a couple of months, and then people have an opportunity to discuss the Tobago House of Assembly. But I guess when you don't have anything else to say, you just hold on to anything that people listen to.
Now, there was a recent poll conducted where it was stated that the PNM's chances are about 47% and the TPP chances are about 32%. And trailing behind is the PDP at about 9%. Are you guys worried about the results of polls such as this?
Polls don't vote. Polls don't vote. It's a sample poll that could be skewed in any way you want it to be skewed. It could be a correct reflection. It could be skewed. And I think what all that does is that it tells you, if you think that, hey, I can do better than this, that you need to do a lot more work and stuff like that. But I don't know if I am swayed by poll and pollsters who don't even understand the Tobago landscape and stuff like that. But we have our work to do, and we will continue to do what is necessary.
Now, the TPP is in an interesting position, having started under one banner, and of course we know throughout the last 4 years things change, and then the TPP was birthed. But the PDP is still around. Are you worried at all about the potential of the PDP, splitting some of the votes that should have gone to the TPP?
Well, I don't know if it's a need to worry about them splitting the vote. The TPP and the PDP are two different organizations. Yes, they might have been the same people, and it's not the first time. The division is not the first time parties divide. But my question, though, in a lot of ways, is that is it that the PDP is an independent organization or is a proxy of the PNM based on what we are seeing in the last couple of days? I have never heard former Prime Minister Ravi so complimentary of what, since I've heard him in a meeting. I think it was in Goodwood.
Yes, on Saturday.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, some of the same people who were called all kind of names, appear in picture, hug up with the PDP leader. And it seemed to be a kind of convenience that says, let's divide the votes. But that is their right. That's their right. I mean, we might not like it, but that's the right of every individual to join and are associated with any political organization they see fit. The question that I think that must concern us is that we have enough issues, and do people understand enough as to what these are about to attract the majority of persons to vote for the TPP?
And of course, you're saying that you're not sure that those issues are being spoken about.
No, I'm not in a lot of it. Listen, the first thing that I found interesting about this thing is when I heard, I think it's the Prime Minister, the current Prime Minister, say that, I know for 10 years, they were learning, and they're now ready to deliver. And I said, but 10 years at OJT? Even OJT's got 2 years. But you came to the people, and again you are coming to the people and say, look, we are ready to run government. Is that government you're running? Is that country? And then 10 years after, you say, okay, well, we were learning, so I think after 10 years we're not ready. But the oxymoron of that is, at the same time, you are saying to Tobagonians, Fari and the TPP have been there for 3 years, and they didn't do enough for 3, but you admitting that you are OJT for 10. I mean, that to me is a little confusing. But again, it is when people think that your IQ is so low that anything they tell you based on your color and stuff, you're going to rally to it. But that doesn't make any sense. And I want to say to the population, if an organization is coming to you to ask you to elect them to run your government, and they are not ready to run government on day one, then you're not electing a government. You're playing muddy pot.
And you believe the TPP candidates are ready to act on day one?
Well, the thing about that is that a lot of them are very. Joel has been a member of the assembly for the 3 years. He have had a bit of experience in that regard. Mr. Thomas is a former deputy fire chief, and they have a wealth of experience behind that will help to guide and support. And I'm saying that because we need to understand, as I said, what is at stake here. I've heard this morning, I think it's this morning, yeah. I've been hearing loudspeakers going around, and the campaign is a vote for the TPP is a vote for the UNC. 2025, right? I mean, we still, that same race card, race baiting in 2025. But here what happens? In 2025, they're telling you, they did it in 2012 successfully. In 2012, 2013, my organization, I was a victim of that. And they were saying, don't talk to, if you vote for the TOP at the time, you will be voting for the UNC. It's not the UNC they want to say, you're going to say you're voting for the Indians. It is race baiting. Yet in 2025, and when you ask them about let me just go back a bit. When you ask them about the majority, look at the government, the majority of senior ministers in the government are not of African descent. They tell you it's an African party. So you have to vote for them. And then the argument is, no. The leader is the one who drives the organization. So we have an African leader. And so people bought that. And then in 2025, the African leader says, none of you African people, not good enough. I am going to handpick someone who is of mixed origin, East Indian and Oriental. And I'm going to handpick them and make them prime minister. And if they don't become prime minister, in any case, they will be set for life because their minimum salary will be $47,000 as pension. And then the argument that all of a sudden, there's a revolution of the argument. We were always an all-inclusive party, but at the same time, you're saying that in Trinidad, you're in Tobago saying to people, if you vote for the TPP, you'll be voting for them Indians. And that is what he's saying. They're going in people's houses and tell them that. And I'm saying they are playing a greater part in dividing the country than bringing it together. If you ask me what we should be talking about, then there's another story altogether.
Yes, certainly. So when we look at also the campaign trail, especially from the PNM, because of course we're seeing that accusation that the TPP a vote for the TPP is a vote for the UNC. But the going further, they are seeking to discredit the candidacy of Mr. Thomas and Mr. Sampson because of what they perceive as non-performance within the THA.
But you cannot tell me you want to discredit the two people who now looking to go to Parliament because of non-perform for the THA, but you admit your government was an OJT government, so you didn't perform for 10 years. I mean, so it depends on who's listening. You know, I have a brother that has a very interesting statement that he makes. He say, when a fool talking, they always think a fool listening. Well, that seems to be what is happening. You always think that you could fool people into think. You know, at the same time that the argument seems just to be about race, about the THA, that they are emasculating, there are a number of issues that are left.
What are some of those issues do you think that we should be focusing on?
The Tobago's ability to borrow. Tobago don't have the ability to borrow. The government could borrow any amount of money it wants. But the government gives you $200 million in development fund. And then tell you can't borrow anything. You can't enter into a bold arrangement based on the Privy Council ruling. And at the same time, the government has access to the Heritage and Stabilization Fund, which have billions of US dollars in it, access to borrowing on the international market, and none of that have to affect Tobago if they don't want it to. And so most times they don't. And so Tobago cannot borrow. Tobago, imagine, there are international organizations that want to give grants. And for those of you who don't understand, a grant is a gift. But because it's a sovereign democratic state called Trinidad and Tobago, and the center of government is the cabinet, they have to get what you call a no objection letter. So the government just have to give you a letter saying, oh, I have no objection to you giving this. And on a number of occasions in the last couple of years, and even at present as we speak, the government is refusing to give a no objection letter for even the issue of grants. About 75% of the taxes that are due to Tobago is not being collected in Tobago. And the Act number 40 of 1996 tells you that all companies operating in Tobago.
And then last night we heard from the Secretary of Finance that, with the property tax now, there is a challenge where it doesn't seem as though the property tax is being
based on
collected in Tobago.
how the Act is written. So that's what I'm getting to. So all those things, you're collecting it or you set up agencies to take that tax and have it accredited to a ministry in Trinidad. And then you look at Tobago and say, oh, they don't bring much. Or they don't bring much to the table. When you buy a motor vehicle, the taxes goes down to, whether it's one of the used car or new car companies, except it's one of the little used car dealers in Tobago. All the major companies, the taxes are paid out of the head office in Trinidad. That isn't credited to Tobago. All the WASA, TNTEC, TSTT, all the employees, the police officers, the soldiers, the firemen, their taxes are from their salaries, their PAYE, are credited to Trinidad. It's only the THA workers and the companies that are registered and work in Tobago that have taxes in Tobago. So when you look at all those taxes, then you have a situation where the Calypso field is now producing gas, about 200,000 cubic meters a day. There have never even been an announcement that said to Tobago, listen, this is what is happening. And so the question is, what are we going to do? What are the representatives going to do to affect the changes to have those things done in Tobago? And somebody going to tell you that we didn't get the constitutional amendment to give the Tobago House of Assembly the necessary power to do all that. And that's not true, because some of these things need a simple majority. And that is how Act number 40 came into being. When the then PNM refused to support the very comprehensive bill that gave Tobago lawmaking, policy formulation, and implementation, Mr. Robinson and him said, listen, we can't allow Tobago to continue to suffer under Act number 37. In fact, that's how Act number 37 came into being. So it is not that you can't effect changes in some of these things right now. Tobago needs to be able to do a lot more things, collects all its taxes as the law provides for, and stop the encroachment of government ministries in Tobago, inclusive of the Ministry of Sports and others that are doing things in Tobago that by law are the responsibility of the Tobago House of Assembly. And unless and until we have representatives that could make the divide and to give a commitment that these are going to be the things that will be first and foremost in their contributions to the parliament, then we're wasting time.
All right. Well, we're going to have to leave things there for now because we are unfortunately out of time. But I want to thank you so much, Mr. Jack, for being on with us. And viewers, just before we go for the break, I just have this message for you. And it's about something fun happening this weekend. It's a family affair this Friday, 25th April at the Scarborough Market for the annual Easter Extravaganza. Join us from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. for exciting activities for the kids, including an Easter egg hunt, chow and juice making, cupcake decorating, and more. For more information, call 639-1966, extension 3550. This message was brought to you by the Division of Food Security, Natural Resources, the Environment, and Sustainable Development. All right, folks, well, we got to go for the break, but we'll see you in just a bit.